Hi guys. God, what a frantic morning it's been. There's the sun rising in the background there. It's about 7:40, well, it's 7:45, and I'm outside my local doctor's, and I thought this is an unusual moment for me. It's not it's an unusual moment for most people, but it's probably a more common moment than we all care to think about. I'm just about to go into the doctor's because I've booked an appointment. You may have seen a week or so ago my mental health update. Very candid sort of, explanation, I hope, of, how I'm feeling up and down and what the various solutions are, CBT, AA, potentially more antidepressants. So anyway, I'm outside the doctor's and I'm about to go in to discuss the possibility of testing another antidepressant. Now, my sense is that he's probably going to suggest another SSRI, I think they're called, which are serotonin stimulators, I think that's what they are. And I have to confess, as I left the house, I've been wet and sweaty because I've just done my workout. That's part of the whole process, I think, of staying mentally, fit. But I felt as I left the house, Nads gave me a hug, and I just felt, I was reminded of how I felt the first time I went on antidepressants. And although it's not, and I'm not saying this because this is what it is, how I felt was a distinct sense of failure. I feel like I've had to acquiesce in the face of something that's outside of myself, but it's also part of me. And it's that weird thing. It got me thinking about the fact that how, I've often talked about how I don't like the sunny weather and I prefer the dark weather and the sun intimidates me and I'm naturally melancholic and I tilt towards the negative. And then there's the part of me that's naturally joyful, naturally childlike, loves to be silly, isn't happier than making people laugh or smile, or, not just stupidly laugh or smile, making people feel comfortable and safe too. Those are critical components for me. I mean, we always say as a family, me, NADIA, and the girls, despite whatever's thrown at us, kindness is the best quality, whether it's in public or in private. Kindness. And so I was thinking, well, isn't it funny? Because those parts of me that I think of as naturally melancholic or downbeat or negative or pessimistic or depressive, in one sense they're part of me, but in another, like at a moment like now when I'm looking at those parts of my character and I'm about to go into a doctor's surgery and ask for something as simple as a pill to somehow manage those parts of me, I almost look at those parts of me as if they are a disease, as if they are a sort of an invading force, as if they're a sort of alien force that's in me that needs to be expelled. And then I feel like I'm disavowing or denying an enormous part of who I am or what makes me who I am. So I guess that's why I have this constant fear that what antidepressants do is they make people become mogadon. Yeah, they take the edge off things. Yes, they might reduce the anxiety, but you become a shell of your former self. And then you end up thinking, well, hang on a minute. We're all just a combination of negative and positive. Some of us, like some people, have big boobs and small boobs and long feet and short feet and big dicks and small dicks. Some of us have more depressive qualities than happy ones, and vice versa. And so then you start to think, should I be meddling with this stuff? What am I doing? And then you get to a point like I got to last week where I was between meetings, driving somewhere to somewhere else. I had to park. And when I parked, I couldn't honestly tell you how 10 minutes passed because I felt so low. I felt so overwhelmed with a blanket, a cloak of, and this is the bit that was perturbing, not even darkness, a total emptiness, a total almost lack of anxiety, a total lack of urgency, a total lack of consciousness, really, because I just sat and felt flat. And it wasn't even as if, and I've heard people like Stephen Fry talk about this, it wasn't even like seeing the pointlessness of things. I just didn't see or feel. And that really alarmed me, that really perturbed me, because within that state, you're not thinking about solving it, you're not thinking about resolving it, you're not thinking about doing something to stop it, you're just it. You're not even in it, you're just it. Do you get what, I don't even know if any of what I'm saying makes sense. So anyway, I had that moment and I thought to myself, right, I've got to get down the doctor's. And I thought I'm going to share with those of you, obviously not all of you, those of you who relate to this sort of the travails of the highs and lows of mental health and what have you. I'm going to go to a couple of AA meetings in the next week. I'm also going to talk before I go in and when I come out about, obviously not what's in them because they're anonymous, but I want to talk about how they potentially affect me, because I think it might be useful for people, just to puncture the illusion. And this is really an attempt for anyone who's considering. I don't have to take whatever the doctor tells me to take today, but I can sit down with him and I can ask him what other options are there medically, pharmaceutically. I can share with him how I felt. But I have to confess, I feel like a loser. Not like a loser, although, you know, I often feel like that. I feel like I've lost a battle. I feel like I've lost a fight with myself. I feel slightly disappointed and defeated and deflated. So I'm running out of adjectives, but you know, they're kind of useful, aren't they? Sometimes they're handy because we all kind of lean on different ones, and that's why I sometimes use 3 words instead of 1 in case one resonates more for some people. Anyway, that's where I'm at. Just about to go into the building over there. I'm sweaty. I'm going to have to apologise to him. He's a lovely doctor. I'm going to have a quick swig of diet ginger beer, and then I'm going to report back to you when I come out. Okay, just come out. God, that's so weird, isn't it? It's so funny seeing your doctor, because they're wanting to get to the truth of how you're feeling. You're needing to be really honest, and yet you go through all of the shadow play of social kind of engagement. Oh yes, no, fine. Oh good, yeah, no. Oh, of course, as you know, I'm a recovering alcoholic and an addict, and yes, yeah. And I go to my 12-step meet. I mean, you know, I haven't been to enough 12-step meetings, but you sit there and you just say all this stuff, don't you? Anyway, I described to him how bad I've been feeling at times, not all the time, but at times. I said how I was on the citalopram and it worked for the first 6 months, to the point that I felt even stimulated creatively and work-wise, you know, mentally. And then it was a slow descent. And he asked a good question. He said, where are you, given that you've been off all that sort of stuff now for about a year, where are you at now? Do you feel worse than where you were at when you started the citalopram? And I said I felt slightly worse, thus triggering me to come in and see him. So he's suggested we use this other one. I can't remember the name of it, but a number of you lovely guys have mentioned that this was one that maybe I should use. So I'm just waiting for Sainsbury's to open, and then I'm going to go and get that, and then I'm going to take my first pill. There is something very nice about our doctor that makes you feel very sort of safe and cradled and looked after. I mean, he knows the family and everything, so he's very fond of us. So, but there's something strange about sitting in a room and admitting, whether it be in an AA meeting where you're admitting your powerlessness, but I mean, this is the same thing in a sense, isn't it? You're sitting down and you're effectively saying, white flag, life, I don't really know how to deal with this. It's not necessarily I mean, I went in like this. He said, clearly your fitness is okay. How's your asthma? I said, well, you know, I keep taking I think all asthmatics have to take their blue one occasionally, etc., etc. But, you know, I said, no, physically I feel okay. Physically, he said, good weight, you've lost weight. I said, yeah, no, I have. That made me feel good. I wanted to give him a big kiss on his cheek. But then there's that part of you where you feel like you're in a very, you know, they're up against it. It's the NHS, you know, you're having to open your heart. And as you open your heart, you feel a bit silly saying what you're saying. You feel like you're using sentences that have been used too often. It's a little bit like when someone dies or someone you know loses someone, and you end up using platitudes. Because I've lost, you know, so many different people in my life, I feel like I try not to deliver platitudes, because it's not that they're designed to not help, but language is so insufficient sometimes. That's all I'm trying to say. And so when you sit there trying to give your symptoms, there's a weird thing is your ego kicks in and you think, no, I was sat in there and I was saying, this is what I feel, this is how I'm feeling. And everything I was saying felt such a bad, almost like the script of Casualty, such a badly scripted delivery of really non-specific stuff that anyone could have said. I mean, if I was an actor and if I was a director and I saw myself as an actor in that session with the doctor, we've got to do a retake, that was shit. You gave us no sense of how you really felt. I mean, my performance was awful. And in a weird way, it's hard to I'm talking to you now like I wish I talked to him. But there wasn't time. And, it's funny because he turns around, he's ever so sweet, and he's right there. And he sort of sits right near to you and looks into your face, and you feel a bit like, oh, yeah, no, I'm fine. So I sort of went into all of the descriptions of it and all that sort of stuff. He said that, he did say that there's an increasing prevalence, obviously, with men, and that he said, it kind of goes untalked about, the fact that men do go through all sorts of hormonal changes too. So yeah, anyway, so I felt really inarticulate, I felt inauthentic, I felt like I couldn't get him to the root of the matter, I couldn't open my heart, I couldn't open my mind, I couldn't give word or articulation to the complications, and yet at the same time it's not that complicated, the simplicity of just feeling he checked that I was still going to CBT, I lied. He checked that I'm still going to AA meetings, I lied. So it was a good reminder that I need not to lie. I mustn't lie, and I must carry on with all of those things. So anyway, so here's the thing. So I am going to go to CBT. I am going to go to AA. I am going to report back to you. I am going to do these little missives before and after going in. I want to puncture the not the shame, but the sort of fear of talking about this stuff. I want to make this normal. I want this to be every day. Not that I want everyone to feel like this every day, but I don't want, I think that by just kind of putting a camera on these little moments that we do privately on our own, where we have little fucking cliff edges of fear and anxiety and worry, where we feel little mini victories or mini failures, more often failures, where we accomplish some kind of act of astonishing private personal bravery because we've stepped over a threshold of fear to accept or admit or share or reach out or just ask for help. We are so bad. It's so difficult to reach out for help because we can't admit that we don't actually often know how to deal with a situation or what the fuck is going on. So there you go. So this was my little mental health chat about going into the doctors to be prescribed antidepressants.